Hello, everybody.
My name's Marketplace.
Hello. Hello, guys. Welcome back to another reaction. Today we're going to be looking at Dexter versus every detective. And chat's still talking about the death battle reaction. Because you will scream every move along with him. Oh, really? I do need to watch that show. I really do. It does seem like a very interesting show. We are killing DD. Okay. Time to watch Dexter get BTFO'd by Scooby-Doo? Really? Oh, wow. Okay, I'm interested in this. Oh, yeah, the other Dexter, not Dexter's Laboratory. Don't worry.
Aww.
We're talking about the murderer Dexter, who's also a crime scene analyst. Haven't seen this, but I'm hoping for Scooby-Doo. Me too now, since you said that. Alright. Alright, we're gonna hop right on into this. Kinda wish Mech was here for this, but sadly he had been called for work, so maybe he'll be here for the next one. We're just gonna watch this video for now, and then we'll make a series out of these reactions until we get to the end. Short Dexter definitely caught bodies. Oh my god.
First of all, let me start by saying I realize I'm not the first person to do something like this. I'm sure these videos are fine.
Hey! Hey! Scooby-Doo! Scooby-Doo! It's there! There he is! Oh my god!
I don't know. I've avoided watching most of them as not to affect my opinions on the
Woo!
topic, but the idea for this video actually came from this classic meme of a chart, and the idea that instead of the Kira case from Death...
Oh my gosh. Could solve the cure. I like how Columbo's here. Could not solve the cure case. I could see this being a thing that couldn't solve the cure case. Same thing with Blue's Clues. I think that's Dexter right there. Can I? What? Intuit? The mechanics of Death Note. Dang it, Edgeworth, you're supposed to be able to solve it. Same thing with you, Phoenix, right? You should be able to solve it. But bullcrapping your way through it. Right. We're Rona. Well. Is rather Rucker. Oh my god. Yeah, they couldn't figure out how the Death Note works. Oh, okay. Makes sense. Mostly because Phoenix Wright just bullcraps his way through things. I can see Detective Pikachu not figuring it out either. They couldn't figure it out, but they were able to solve it. Okay, I see it. I see it. Yeah. Yes. Definitely. I like how Persona characters would understand that the Death Note is real. Okay, I get you. I get how this chart is working now. This side is like all the people that could actually solve it, and this side's all the people that can't solve it. But the top people can understand how it works, and the bottom one can't. Okay, gotcha.
Death Note, each of these detectives were instead given the case of the Bay Harbor Bucher. I have always been a pretty big Dexter fan. I've watched...
Okay, I feel Phoenix would 100% figure out the Death Note. Okay, Phoenix alone would figure out the Death Note. Edgeworth would be able to find it, but not be believe it works together to catch Kira.
All
yeah,
8 seasons of the original show, like 4 times.
Oh
I've
my.
seen what could be called the 9th season at least twice. I'm very much enjoying the new prequel show, and I've also recently started listening to the audiobooks, one of which I've already finished, so I feel fairly knowledgeable about Dexter, his story, and his thought process to a point I think I can safely answer how he'd handle, or not handle, just about
Why
any
are
detective
two lawyers
in
better
fiction you
than
can imagine.
detectives?
Many of which
I know, right?
I also find myself fairly knowledgeable because, in case you couldn't guess, I really like mystery and crime stories. To this effect, I've narrowed down almost every possible outcome into one of 5 categories.
Oh.
Dexter kills them, they kill Dexter, Dexter gets arrested, Dexter gets away, or they get framed as the Bay Harbor Butcher. I'm not intimately familiar, nor did I have the time to research all the detectives from the original Death Note chart, but I did know, or at least research, most of them, doing my best to touch on as many genres of
I got a feeling Phoenix Wright and Edgeworth are going to be in here. Because Edgeworth is Edgeworth and Phoenix has magic.
Detective as I could,
true.
and with a few I didn't really know that well or couldn't be bothered with, I've replaced or added some characters of my own that I felt were either sorely missing from a chart of the world's best detectives, or just some characters in general.
I like how Dick Gumshoe's in here too.
That I thought
my
would be
gosh.
uniquely suited to this Dexter scenario
That's
in
crazy.
particular. And speaking of the scenario, despite 8 seasons and now at least 3 or 4 consecutive spin-off shows years later, for the vast majority of Dexter's life, his infamous Bay Harbor Butcher moniker was pinned on the late James Dokes. And aside from a handful of occasions where some of Dexter's
I need
own
to watch
colleagues got
Dexter.
enough of a bad vibe to give him a closer look,
I actually
to no
want to
success,
see this.
There's no reason why almost any detective on this list would investigate Dexter in particular. He's just some lab geek with a seemingly normal, mundane life. Dexter has gone out of his way to make himself seem like the human equivalent of wheat bran.
You see, learning even more about hemoglobin dispersion and the magnetic effects of lightning in the case of severe thunderstorms could prove invaluable because it can all be considered causal in the
I
determination
feel
of blood
RoboCop
stain
would
analysis.
figure it out. Well, yeah, he's basically human mixed with AI, ain't he?
Oh. Is that it?
The question is not can these detectives figure out if Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher, but rather can they figure out if the Bay Harbor Butcher is Dexter. That means we're going to take the inciting incident that kicks off Season 2, the offshore discovery of Dexter's victims before he learned to dump them in the Gulf Stream, as the driving force that will draw in each of the detectives on our list. The way things play out in Dexter's actual story is he had not one but 2 major detectives on him at the same time. FBI Special Investigator Frank Lundy and Sergeant of Homicide James Dokes. And these 2 guys breathing down his neck at the same time was almost too much for Dexter to handle. In fact, it kind of was too much for him to handle. Dexter got out of this one.
Hold on. Ain't this guy that same guy that is in that meme, surprise mother effer? You know the meme I'm talking about? He is the meme? Oh my god! For real? Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh. The actor even knows the meme? Oh, that's
James
funny.
Dokes. And these 2 guys breathing down his neck at the same time was
I just
too much
saw
for Dexter to handle.
I just saw
In fact,
this and immediately thought of that surprise mother effer. See, or meme. I wonder where that meme actually came from, though. Like, was it a movie or something? The show? Wait, it came from this show? No way. No way. No way. Yeah, they got away with an F-bomb on broadcast. Oh my gosh. You're kidding. That is so funny. Oh my god.
Surprise, motherfucker.
kind of was too much for him to handle.
I love it
Dexter
so much.
got out of this one pretty much by dumb luck for the most part, so to be fair to Dexter, we're going to take both Lundy and Dokes out of the equation by replacing them with our other detectives. That means we'll be dealing with Season 2 Dexter, which also probably happens to be Dexter at his least vulnerable state. Dexter's emotions are still very much underdeveloped at this stage, and he hasn't even had Harrison yet. Even Rita at this point is just barely becoming more than a prop for his cover life, so without children to take care of, a wife to maintain, or enemies with a grudge, Dexter has more maneuverability as a killer than just about any other time in the series aside from the first season. Additionally, the only person who knows Dexter's real secret at this point, Rudy, is dead, and with Deborah still recovering from the trauma Rudy caused her in Season 1, and now with no Frank Lundy around to pull her out of her depression, Deborah is also out of the equation for this investigation. She's still investigating homicides, but she won't be on the task force to hunt the Bay Harbor Butcher like Lundy had assigned her. Season 2 Dexter obviously has some advantages in the detection department, but he also has some disadvantages. At this point in time, Dexter strictly adheres to the code, and so far he has made 0 mistakes or exceptions in following it. This means he cannot target the investigators on his trail for a kill, like he did LaGuerta, unless Dexter is absolutely certain they meet Harry's code. That said, he's not defenseless. Dexter can and still will kill in self-defense when necessary, but whenever possible, if the investigator doesn't meet the code, Dexter will prioritize diversion and evasion over conflict. Well, with the context of the scenario out of the way, the stage is now set to answer once and for all, who can stop the Bay Harbor Butcher?
Alright, let's see.
Dick Gumshoe.
Hold on. Hold on. You've got to be kidding me. We're starting with Dick Gumshoe? Man! Alright. I'm gonna eat an apple for this one. If he says Gumshoe dies, I quit. If he does Gumshoe dirty, I will be so upset. I hope he doesn't do him dirty.
Vince Masuka has solved more homicides than Dick Gumshoe. Lovable though he may be, Gumshoe is pretty much the epitome of incompetence. He can't even keep a crime scene secure.
True. He's not wrong on that one.
From the defense attorneys that aren't supposed to be there, and beyond that, he does pretty much only whatever the prosecution tells him to do. And even then, half the time, his carelessness and buffoonery winds up blowing up in their face to the detriment of their case. Honestly, buying donuts every morning for the homicide department, like Dexter does every morning, would be enough to unironically make Dexter Gumshoe's favorite person. Gumshoe has a sweet tooth, and he can never act on it. Mainly because Edgeworth has effectively reduced his salary to a point Gumshoe is an indentured slave for the state. So that box of donuts probably costs more than his annual income for the year. This simple kindness would make Dexter a god in Gumshoe's eyes. And for this reason alone, Gumshoe would never suspect him of any wrongdoing. Dexter gets away easily.
I mean, I guess it makes sense because Gumshoe is easily manipulated. From what I've seen, it seems like he's easily manipulated. Yeah, Gumshoe alone, yeah. Most
Miles Edgeworth.
Okay. Teamed up with Phoenix or Edgeworth, he's a real threat. Yes, true. Okay. I hope he does my boy Edgeworth justice here because I feel like oh my god. I would like to see a Phoenix plus Edgeworth because both of them together would take down Dexter. I think Edgeworth too. I know he's very smart, so I would assume that he's able to get Dexter.
There is no doubting Edgeworth has a formidable mind and an incredible intellect. He's a grand master of mind chat.
Yeah, I figured it worked. Awesome.
And one hell of an investigator. Edgeworth could be a significant obstacle to Dexter's life to a point I think Edgeworth's investigation and conclusions would mirror Lundy's. But there are a few disadvantages about Edgeworth's personality that, ultimately, would put Dexter just out of his reach. Simply put, Edgeworth has a superiority complex. He may be brilliant, but he doesn't have colleagues.
I see that, yeah.
He has subordinates. And if you question his authority, he'll either openly berate you for being an idiot, or he'll pull the strings to dock your salary. For this reason alone, he views people in the police department, like Gumshoe, as underlings or tools, which would firmly put Dexter in his blind spot. Even if Edgeworth used his own forensics expert, Emma Skye, Dexter is significantly more skilled and experienced in forensics than Emma Skye could ever dream of being. So it wouldn't be hard for Dexter to sabotage the evidence or set someone else up for the fall. After all, Edgeworth has a pretty rich history of arresting the wrong man. Dexter gets away.
Lynx, do you really agree with that? I don't really think it'd be that way. But then again, he is counting the entire Wright and Co. law offices. Yeah, I see that. Dexter 100% getting caught. Yeah.
Right, and the Wright Anything Agency.
Wright Anything Agency. Yes. Apollo Justice, Phoenix Wright, and Athena Sykes.
The original detective chart only has Phoenix, but I'm including Apollo and Athena because it doesn't really matter which of the three attorneys at the Wright Anything Agency leads the case. It'll play out pretty much the exact same way. Unlike Edgeworth, who has to rely on logic and evidence alone, each of the three attorneys at the Wright Anything Agency have supernatural or super technological bullshit to use that would immediately alert them to Dexter's untruthfulness. Athena has a necklace that detects emotions, of which Dexter has none, immediately alerting Athena to something unusual. Apollo has a bracelet that tightens when someone is lying, which means after a 5-minute conversation with Dexter, he'd probably have lost circulation in his entire hand. And Phoenix has a magic amulet that literally lets him see someone's lies as actual spiritual manifestations of locks only he can see and solve with evidence. One word from Dexter and Phoenix would immediately get flashbanged by like 20 locks in his vision.
Are you the Bay Harbor Butcher?
This is a major problem for Dexter. He basically won't be able to lie to them at all and get away with it, which is a pretty big deal for a guy that survives by literally lying to everyone in his life on a daily basis. Additionally, the Wright Anything Agency plays pretty fast and loose with how they collect evidence. Not unlike Dexter himself, they pick up and examine every little thing in every location they visit, and they have profoundly dumb luck in finding the damning evidence they need to solve their case.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly wouldn't put it past Trucy or Maya to just randomly fiddle with Dexter's air conditioner in his apartment and just happen upon the blood slides. Having said all this, you'd think I'd be setting Dexter up for failure, but no. Ultimately, the opposite would be true, and in the worst way possible. The Wright Anything Agency may have a knack for seeing through lies and collecting evidence, but they're defense attorneys, not cops. They present all their evidence in court, and honestly, Dexter would never allow the investigation to get that far. Deeply alarmed by the Wright Anything Agency's ability to see through him, and also deeply annoyed by their nosiness, Dexter would put the Wright Anything Agency at the top of his threat list, and deal with it accordingly by framing them for the whole thing. It's important to remember that everyone in the Wright Anything Agency has been—
No, this is bullcrap. I agree with you, Lynx. But I get where he's coming from, because even in the games, they do that same crap with, like, even what we're going through right now with Athena Sykes. They're literally throwing an accusation that Athena Sykes killed her own mother and killed freaking the dude. Like, Mia would have showed up last second and make it so Dexter gets caught. Yeah,
framed
true.
for murder at least once. In Phoenix's case, 3 times. And in Maya's, 5! Right in his game.
Yeah. Yeah. Dexter would frame Maya most of all because she's been framed so many times. And they would get out every time, yes.
They're pretty good at defending themselves against impossible odds, but Dexter can plant fingerprints on murder weapons, plant damning evidence, stage crime scenes, and falsify autopsy reports. Even the Wright Anything Agency can only do so much against that level of fake evidence. And ultimately, like Dokes, Phoenix Wright gets framed as the Bay Harbor Butcher.
I don't think so.
Officer
I don't
Deckard
agree with
and
that one.
Officer K.
I don't agree with that one.
Doesn't really matter if you pick the original Deckard from the first Blade Runner or Officer K from
Opinion discarded. Yeah.
Blade Runner 2049. Both of them are Blade Runners with equal skills and methodology, so the investigation will play out the same. This will take a bit of genre bending to make this work, but in a world where somehow...
But I can see where he's coming from with that, though, because of him saying that Dexter can, like, rearrange crime scenes and plant fake evidence and everything like that. And, you know, you can only do so much whenever there's fake evidence involved. But, yeah, I think it would ultimately fail, though. I agree with that. I do ultimately think it would fail, but he would try to at least frame them to be... At least one of them to be the Bay Harbor Butcher.
All these characters can coexist. Imagine Deckard or Kay are briefed on the Bay Harbor Butcher
I don't even know who
killings.
these
The
are.
brutality and surgical nature of the murders lead Deckard or Kay to the conclusion only a replicant could be behind the murders, which is what puts them as lead of the investigation. Important note here, Blade Runners aren't exactly investigators so much as they are licensed hitmen that work for the police force. And because replicants aren't considered human, they have pretty much limitless authority in hunting and destroying them. This would seem like pretty bad news for Dexter initially, especially considering Dexter's robotic personality and difficulty with emotion would be ringing Deckard or Kay's alarm bells like crazy. Putting Dexter in hot water as he'd likely become a key figure of suspicion like Dexter was for Dokes, but it wouldn't last long. Dexter is Dexter. He is not a replicant, and Dexter doesn't even know replicants exist. So from Dexter's perspective, Deckard and Kay are nothing more than killer cops. Serial killer cops. You know what that means? That's right! Deckard and Kay meet the code! Dexter can easily target them without hesitation. And even with Officer K's replicant strength, replicants are bioengineered humans, not robots, so they can still be tranquilized. So the Blade Runners wind up on Dexter's table.
Really?
Dexter kills them.
Okay.
Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher is basically
Okay.
James Dokes.
I've heard of Jack Reacher. I've never watched the movie, though. Is the movie good? I've heard of the movie. I've heard of Jack Reacher. It's a show. Okay. I knew I've heard of it, but I thought it was a movie for some reason. Yeah, it's a football player from Blue Mountain State University. Oh, okay. Is the show real good? I feel like... Time for Dokus on crack. Oh my god.
On steroids.
Oh gosh.
Hell, James Dokes and Reacher probably served together in the military. They have the same background and very similar personalities. Except Reacher is about 3 times bigger, stronger, and cares even less about the rules than Dokes does. Whether it be Reacher acting as the investigation lead in his official capacity as a military policeman, or simply
Oh man. I remember that uniform so well. I still have my old uniform. The ACU patterns, man, those are weird uniforms to wear.
acting as the investigation lead in his official capacity as a military policeman.
Wait,
or
I can't really see his rank there. I think I think he's a butter bar, first lieutenant. Or, no, not first lieutenant, second lieutenant.
3 times bigger, stronger, and cares even less about the rules than Dokes does. Whether it be Reacher acting as the investigation lead in his official
Oh, thank you. No need to thank me for the service. I don't even do anything, really. I think he's a butter bar, though. It's hard to tell with the, pixelated ness of the video. Still very hard to tell.
Capacity as a military.
Oh no, he might be a major. It might be a gold
policeman,
leaf.
or simply as a drifter following up on a
Actually.
string of missing persons in Miami. Reacher will eventually reach the
He
same
might be a
conclusion
gold
as
leaf.
Lundy that the Bay Harbor Butcher is most likely law enforcement. And once he starts
Hold on, let me walk into your room. I can hear you from behind the door. Oh
looking
god.
around Miami Metro personnel, Reacher will immediately clock Dexter's uncanny, creepy vibe just like Dokes does. From there, Reacher's investigation pans out almost exactly like Dokes's,
Okay.
beat for beat.
Bro,
Follows
his
him
is
around,
Mike.
surprises Dexter, and interrogates him when he least
My bad.
expects it, breaks into his apartment, probably finds the blood slides, and eventually
Am I muted? I shouldn't be muted. Hello? Hello? Ah! My bad. I have to put it like up against my freaking mouth. Oh my gosh.
catches Dexter red-handed. But that's where things completely change from the way the Dokes investigation panned out. I am fully aware Dexter is physically fit, strong, and an expert in jiu-jitsu. But Jack Reacher is a 6'5", 300-pound monster with hand-to-hand combat training and a career full of experience manhandling special
surprised I
forces
didn't know.
guys at
I
bar
couldn't
fights.
hear the
There is no way in hell Dexter
Discord notifications, so I didn't know that Hamter already left us. No, not the Hamter. Hold on. Have to turn into dust like the Avengers. Oh my gosh. No, she's gone to do her stream.
Dexter is
Yeah.
going to be able to overpower Reacher like he does Dokes. And the second Dexter tries, Reacher will probably just snap his neck. Reacher kills Dexter.
Yeah, I could kind of see that because he's freaking jacked.
Mulder and Scully. For some reason, FBI
Oh, the
Director
X-Files.
considers the nature of the Bay Harbor Butcher killings to be so strange and unusual.
I know the
that
X-Files.
whole
I've
case
never
is
watched it, but I
classified
know
as
of
an
it.
X-File. Automatically
I want to
putting
watch
Mulder and
it.
Scully as
I never got
leads
the
on the
chance to
case.
watch it. 'Cause I was a
To be
kid
honest,
when it came
the
out.
real threat for Dexter is Scully, who as a medical doctor and autopsy specialist will be able to come to the same exact forensic conclusions as Lundy's investigation.
Oh.
Meanwhile, Mulder will become increasingly convinced the Bay Harbor Butcher is either supernatural or alien, and will waste time chasing leads looking for creatures and swamp people. At which point, he probably stumbles upon a completely unrelated supernatural mystery while Scully does
And it
the
turns
real
out
work.
Dexter is
Or at
an
least
alien
until
hybrid.
Dexter sabotages the AC unit outside the morgue like he does in the original story. At which point, Scully's medical expertise will no longer be of any real use, and the trail of the Bay Harbor Butcher will have gone cold, filed away as yet another unexplained and unresolved X-File. Dexter gets away.
Oh wow.
The Men in Black.
Okay, I think that Dexter gets away with this one.
Huh, that's weird. This guy's missing some organs. What the fuck? Let's open an alien on his table and has an existential crisis. When evidence of the alien body is found among the other Bay Harbor Butcher victims, the body is confiscated, evidence destroyed, and the scuba divers who found it are neuralized. The Men in Black, or as the Miami Metro is told,
INS Division 6.
Division 6?
takes over the Bay Harbor Butcher investigation and invites no
What?
one from Miami Metro to the task force. They have complete and total authority and effectively lock Miami Metro out of the investigation entirely. With Dexter unable to do so much as track the MIB's progress, let alone sabotage it, Dexter will have little choice but to either try and wait it out or just outright flee. And in either case, with the MIB's significant global authority and vastly superior advanced technology, finding Dexter is pretty much a cakewalk. And once they realize he's human and not alien, he gets immediately neuralized to the point he probably becomes a vegetable, and all the evidence to his normal human kills is collected and transferred to the relevant authorities. Dexter
Oh, wow.
gets arrested. Steve and Blue.
Oh my gosh.
Steve and Blue both have the power to create and travel through interdimensional portals at
Yeah,
will.
I
And additionally,
don't think-
they can talk to inanimate objects like normal people.
I'm just like, why is this even here? Freaking really? I know, right? Why is this even here? They're not even detectives.
This is both terrifying and very bad news for Dexter. That means that Steve and Blue both will
Oh
be
my gosh.
impossible for Dexter to track or capture.
Hey, it's
because
fun.
at any moment,
Yeah, I
they can
guess
jump
so.
into a photo or a children's drawing and be wafted off instantaneously to another time and space in the universe where Dexter cannot follow. Additionally, Steve and Blue's ability to talk to objects poses a major problem, as any single object in his workplace, apartment, boat, or kill room could be a potential witness that can tell Steve and Blue in detail exactly what Dexter has been up to. Having said that,
Uh-oh.
finding Dexter and discovering his real identity as the Bay Harbor Butcher will be easy for Steve and Blue. Proving it is another thing. Though Steve is a very kind man, he is somewhat incompetent. He can't even find the keys in his jacket pocket without the assistance of others. And more oftentimes than not, blatantly obvious evidence is completely invisible to him unless Blue explicitly puts their blue paw print on it. The real brains behind the duo is Blue, who is
yeah.
a dog, which means anything Blue actually finds will have to be translated by Steve to the rest of Miami Metro. And Steve has some, well, credibility problems. Even though Steve can interrogate inanimate objects for information, it is very likely only Steve and Blue can actually hear and take part in these conversations. And this, in combination with public, prolonged conversations with his dog, as well as his lack of even rudimentary situational awareness and problem solving, Miami Metro will, put simply, think Steve is absolutely insane. It's very unlikely anyone will issue a warrant based on Steve's written testimony of a talking butcher knife that was found by his hyper-intelligent blue dog. Dexter should be able to lean into this pretty easily, because if the cops already think Steve is crazy, it won't be much of a stretch of their imagination that he could be the Bay Harbor Butcher himself, or at least easily once Dexter plants a couple of blue paw prints at the crime scenes. Unfortunately, Steve and Blue lack both the evidence and the eloquence to defend themselves legally. But don't worry, they can just jump into a picture of Cuba or something, and they'll never be able to catch Steve and Blue.
Oh,
Bay
man.
Harbor Butchers.
That's crazy. So, psychopath versus schizophrenic. I can see that. Shaft.
This is James Stokes. I'm not even kidding, this just is.
There it is. That was the meme. That was the meme right there.
James Stokes. Everything plays out exactly the same as it did in the actual Dexter story, with one key difference. When Shaft finds Dexter loading body bags into his boat at the Estrada dock near the end, Shaft just shoots him. Dexter dies.
Oh, wow. That was quick. That was quick. Dirty Harry.
Honestly, this is probably just Dexter's dad. Assuming neither one of them know that, however, this plays out exactly.
Who's the black private D word that's a sex machine to all the chicks? Shaft. Yeah, dang right. Oh my god.
Like Shaft, everything happens exactly the same as
Oh
it
my
did in
gosh.
season 2 of the show until the end, at which point Harry blasts Dexter with a hand cannon after saying some cool one-liner. Dexter dies.
Oh wow. There's another quick one.
Nardwuar. Dexter
Nardwuar.
is walking from his apartment one day
What?
after his morning breakfast.
I like how the characters most like Docus but more violent kill Dexter's. Yeah, same.
When he's suddenly ambushed by Nardwuar and his cameraman. Much to Dexter's dismay, Nardwuar appears to be clairvoyant. He knows about Lara Moser, Brian Moser, Harry, the code. He knows every name of every bloodslide and the exact order in which they are placed. He remembers kills in intimate detail that over time, Dexter himself has completely forgotten about. Nardwuar asks Dexter questions about things Dexter doesn't even know yet. Like Dr. Vogel, Harry's suicide, Vince Masuka's daughter. Nardwuar knows everything. Worse
What?
yet, despite Dexter's
What
desperate and
is
hastened
this?
vetting process, Nardwuar doesn't even remotely begin to meet the code. So the only thing Dexter has left is to run for his life, which ultimately, doesn't matter, because no matter where he goes, Nardwuar will always be able to find him. Dexter gets arrested.
Oh, wow.
Frank Castle! The
Oh,
Bay
the
Harbor
Punisher.
Butcher killings are large enough in both scale and brutality to garner Frank Castle's attention. So, he does some light investigation.
Realistically, Nardwuar gets his info from family and friends, so he can't solve it. Oh, wow. That's funny. That is very funny.
Work, but he doesn't take it very far. Frank probably questions a few of the surviving family members of some of Dexter's victims, as well as tortures and kills some other more criminal associates for the information. But as soon as Frank Castle discovers that the pattern to Dexter's killings are all just murderers and serial killers, Frank Castle just drops the case.
Oh!
Maybe Frank...
That guy who plays in The Walking Dead, I don't remember the character's name. But I know he plays in The Walking Dead. I think he's like in the first season. I know, if I remember correctly, I think he dies fairly early on. I do forget the character's name, though.
Investigates further into the
I
Bay
recognize
Harbor
his
Butcher's
face.
identity, maybe not, but ultimately it's likely Frank sees Dexter as just taking out the trash, like he does. So it's likely Frank just drops the investigation before he's even on Dexter's radar. Moving on to grimier pastures that...
I feel like Castle would confront Dexter to keep it to killers, or else he'll come after him. Oh.
doesn't have its own...
Probably, yeah.
Punisher. Dexter gets away.
Really?
Missed...
I don't really think Dexter would get away from him, really. Well, I guess, yeah, if you put it like you said it, Lynx, yeah. Yes. Gotcha. Yeah. It would be either he would, like, let him get away as long as he just keeps it to killers, or he ends up killing them. But yeah, Scooby-Doo time. Scooby-Doo gang.
Incorporated.
Scooby-Doo gang.
Scooby and Shaggy want absolutely nothing to do with this. I guess Fred, Daphne, and Velma have all decided they want to be taken seriously as real investigators that are ready to catch an actual murderer, but no amount of Scooby snacks are going to convince Scooby and Shaggy to follow the gang on a mystery trail that's littered with severed body parts. Scooby and Shaggy will spend most of their entire time in Miami smashing massive amounts of Cubano sandwiches into their stomachs, and the only time they will meet Dexter is at the donut shop. While the mystery gang has a pretty good track record for debunking paranormal cases and the occasional missing persons, their actual sleuthing skills are severely underdeveloped compared to some of the other detectives on this list. And their lack of experience and authority in solving serious crime really starts to show itself when they try tracking down such a neat and dangerous monster like Dexter. For starters, none of the mystery gang are actual cops or licensed private detectives. They're just independent investigators, so their access to evidence and information about the actual murder investigation is going to be severely limited. And even if, for some reason, Miami Metro Homicide decided to include the mystery gang as part of the team investigating the Bay Harbor Butcher, their lack of knowledge and skills isn't going to get them very far.
Yeah.
Daphne has enough social and emotional intelligence to maybe recognize something's a little off about Dexter if she bumps into him, but not enough to make him a prime suspect. Velma is book smart, but she's not a forensic scientist, meaning the biggest lead in the Bay Harbor Butcher case still comes from Masuka, who discovers the algae on the rocks. Fred is both strong and good at making overly elaborate traps, but neither of those skill sets or Daphne's karate is really useful unless they can find or surprise the Bay Harbor Butcher. And truthfully,
That's true.
there's just no way for them to know how to track Dexter's movements. Investigating a fake monster that's designed to scare people away is one thing, but tracking a real monster that's actively evading capture is quite another. And in this arena of detective work, the mystery gang are simply out of their depth. Dexter gets away.
I can kind of see that.
Detective Conan!
Oh, God. Detective Conan. Oh, my gosh. I kind of hope he gets arrested with Detective Conan. Crap gets real.
Overwhelmed
Yeah.
by the enormity of the Bay Harbor Butcher case,
Dexter
Miami
might get
Metro
caught.
Homicide
Yeah.
seeks outside
I think
counsel
so,
with their
too.
investigation from world-famous private detective Kagoro Mori. The reputation of the world's most famous sleeping detective precedes him, and Dexter is initially very nervous by Kagoro's appointment as lead of the Bay Harbor Butcher case. But after spending about 5 minutes with him, Dexter immediately realizes Kagoro is actually kind of an idiot. So Dexter just keeps a distant eye on him as he goes about his business as usual. Which is really bad for Dexter because, as you know, Kagoro is just the patsy for the real detective, Conan Edogawa, the little boy in Kagoro's care, who's not really a little boy at all. It's kind of weird. This is actually catastrophic for Dexter, because due to the unique nature of his childhood trauma, Dexter kind of has a blind spot in softness for children. So while Dexter's eyes are on Kagoro, Conan will seem almost completely invisible to Dexter as he pokes around the station and does the real detective work. Conan has a keen enough mind and high enough deductive reasoning to come to the same conclusions Lundy did about the Bay Harbor Butcher's law enforcement background. And he also probably has enough situational awareness to clock that something is slightly off about Dexter's personality and demeanor. So it won't be very long before Conan sets his sights on Dexter as a person of interest. And to make things tremendously worse, Conan, unlike some other detectives on this list, has an incredibly unique opportunity to infiltrate himself into Dexter's life with very little suspicion. As a child,
really?
under the care of a very busy and very famous traveling private detective, Conan, as a child, would naturally need friends to play with. And I don't think it would take very much effort on Conan's part to arrange a play date with Astor and Cody, Rita's children. Conan simply has to wait or manufacture an opportunity to catch Dexter and Rita in public. And after some casual introductions and some small talk, it would be very easy for Conan to pull on Rita's heartstrings. I mean, Conan does look and sound like a child after all. And Rita is a very empathetic person. All he has to do is put on the lost innocent child act and say that he's been feeling kind of lonely in a strange and foreign city. And from that point onward, Conan will have firmly secured himself a place in close proximity to Dexter's life as Astor and Cody's new playmate. With Conan so close to Rita, he'll have plenty of opportunities to observe and collect evidence on Dexter. Hell, he may even be there at Rita's to witness Dexter knock out Paul on impulse. But even if he isn't, it will only be a matter of time before Conan has some degree of access to Dexter's apartment, where Conan's keen senses will find Dexter's butcher tools and blood slides. Congratulations, Conan! The case is closed. And Dexter gets arrested.
Yeah, I figured.
And that, my dear viewers, is the end of part 1. Yes, I know. I was also hoping that this video was longer, and truthfully, it was my intention to include every single detective on this list in one single multi-hour long video. I had even started writing this video project when the Dexter prequel series, Original Sin, was first starting to air. But alas, editing this took a lot longer than I had anticipated, largely in part because most of my time is actually...
I don't know who all you missed. We saw Conan. We saw, what was it? Castle? Detective Conan, Scooby-Doo, Frank Castle, Nardwuar, Dirty Harry, Shaft, Stephen Blue, Men in Black, Mulder and Scully, Jack Reacher, Blade Runner, Phoenix Wright and Co., Miles Edgeworth, Gumshoe, and that was it for this one. I popped out after Nardwuar. Okay, so you missed Frank Castle, Scooby-Doo, and Detective Conan. So you didn't miss too much. So Scooby-Doo, he gets away with it. Frank Castle, he gets away with it. And Detective Conan, he gets arrested. How did the game do? Not so hot. Not very good. Basically, because they're such novice detectives, they wouldn't be able to actually solve the case. So, it makes sense that he would be able to get away from the Scooby-Doo gang. So, yeah. Although it was kind of funny seeing them there anyways. So, that was part 1 of Dexter versus Every Detective series. If you want to see me do more of these, please leave a like and comment down below if you want me to do more. I would be more than happy to do more of this. And with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's day. And don't forget to stop by advanced.gg and in the link in the description below to get your 10% off of your purchase of Advanced GG flavors, which are really, really good. I highly recommend it. Anyways, with that, I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!